Okay, we might get started. Hi everyone, my name is, can everyone hear me? Yep, great. My name is Jane Collis. I'm the Information Coordinator at Aussie Deaf Kids. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. I would like to formally start this session with an acknowledgement of country. Aussie Deaf Kids acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting and pays respect to the elders past and present, and extends that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce Andrew Stewart. Andrew is the Managing Director of Hearing Connections and wears 2 cochlear implants. He has 10 family members over 3 generations who wear hearing devices, including his 2 children. He is qualified in electronics and has spent his career spanning over 35 years, specialising in assistive technology for people with hearing loss. Andrew was the drafting lead of the 2 Australian standards defining hearing augmentation systems and has received many awards for his advocacy work on behalf of people with hearing loss. So I'll hand over to Andrew. Andrew, I'll stop sharing my screen and you can start sharing yours. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to be here tonight. Just keep in mind, I am hearing impaired. So if you can put your questions into chat, and hopefully now you can see my screen. The other thing is take note of my email address, because if I don't cover everything tonight, feel free to send me an email. It's a really heavy topic tonight in terms of content because there's so much technology out there. So please feel free to send me emails. So I've got to move the caption screen for my buttons now. It's really good to have the caption. I wish everybody had professional caption. Thank you, Melissa. So I'm the Managing Director of Hearing Connection, my own family business. I'm hearing impaired. I wear 2 cochlear implants. I was diagnosed at age 5 with mild hearing loss. Then I was fitted with hearing aids at 7, and I actually started wearing them when I turned 13. Then I had my first cochlear implant 14 years ago. So I grew up, growing up, I went through the state school system. I saw an itinerant support teacher for hearing once a year, which was rather useless. I'm really happy to say the system has changed since then. So we'll move right along. So I just put this up for those that are interested. These are my 2 cochlear implants. This one in 2009 and this one in 2016. And if you've got really good eyesight, you can see 22 little electrodes there and 22 electrodes there. I put this up because when I put it on Facebook, I got more likes for this than I ever did for a photo of me or any other post. So, yeah. Also, the rest of my family, both my children are hearing impaired. They're now young adults. We're still waiting till they grow up, but they're young adults. Mind you, my wife says she's waiting for me to grow up as well, so that's fair enough. And I've got 3 brothers and sisters, all with cochlear implants, as well as mum and dad and 2 nieces with hearing aids. And my dad had 1 cochlear implant. So a lot of hearing devices. You can imagine on Christmas Day, there's over 20 hearing aids and cochlear implants in the one household. And we all try to find the whole of silence somewhere to actually communicate with each other. Even the dog went deaf. But she was the only one that was not fitted with a hearing device, I might add. So here's a picture of my right implant, I think that is. Yep, and the N7 processor. I need to, before we dive into the real stuff, I need to give you a bit of background. The thing is, I've got $80,000 worth of technology on and inside my head. I should be able to understand better than anybody what's been said, but I don't. My best score is 75% of sounds that I can understand. And that's at 1 metre in a padded room. They always test me in a padded room for some reason, but we're not going to go there. So that's no background noise, ideal situation. The trouble is that all the technology is not curing the disease. It's not dealing with those dead and damaged nerve cells. There is an exception that with BAHAs, with conductive loss, they're actually bypassing the damage, and you get excellent results with those normally. But with sensorineural hearing loss, you're not curing the problem. You're not bringing healing to those dead and damaged nerve cells. So background noise diminishes my capacity to understand incredibly. Distance, the volume gets less. Now, the one that people least understand is reverberation. So with reverberation, we get the sound travelling and bouncing off the ceiling, the floors, the walls, everything. And that blurs the sound. In the inner ear, there's there's over 15,000 nerve cells. They've actually had trouble counting it, but there's over 15,000. And the figures tend to vary between 15,000 and 45,000 per ear. The cochlear implant is only giving 22 signals, not 15,000. The hearing aid is not bringing any healing, and if those nerve cells are dead, they're gone. And so the consequence is at 1 metre, I get 75% of sounds. But the further away I go, the more the reverberation blurs the sound to the point that it sounds like another language. I can hear the people speaking, but I can't understand what they're saying. So I need the technology even to relax, to listen to the TV, and that's very common. I need it for the classroom teacher. That's why the FMs are so important, that the government actually funds the FM for children, because it's such a significant issue. And this reverberation is the bit that people don't realise, and what a difference it makes. I once had a situation where I had to sit in a meeting all day, and it was over a video conference, and the sound was so poor, I had to lip read the whole day. Now, I did really well, because I've got good lip reading skills. But at the end of the day, I couldn't remember what happened, because I was so busy concentrating on the individual words, I couldn't take it in, nor could I respond appropriately when I needed to. I actually got quite good at responding inappropriately, because I was so stressed and not always getting it right either. So that's why the FMs are so important. Once you understand that, hopefully you can explain that to some of the teachers who say, oh no, I'll just speak loudly. Doesn't work. The louder volume just bounces around the room, and in some cases makes it worse. As I said, if you've got any questions, please put them into the chat. Also, feel free to send me your name and email address, and I'll add you to our newsletter. Our hope is that one day we'll be issuing them once every 2 months, but we'll let you know when that day actually happens with an unsubscribed facility. Also, some of the technology, not all of it, that I'll be talking about is on our website as well. Hearing Australia, please note what I've said here. I have no connection with Hearing Australia, other than the fact that I was a client of theirs from age 5 up until a very old age, because I used to take part in research studies. Actually, I was involved with them until 14 years ago when I got my first cochlear implant. This information may not be accurate. It can change at any time. So just supplied for your benefit. Generally, they supply Phonak hearing aids to children up to the age of 12. They used to supply Siemens or Signia hearing aids. Then they lost the contract and they're now supplying GN ReSound hearing aids for those over the age of 12. Now, these are general statements. They do supply other brands depending on what is the best outcome for the child. They supply up to 1 FM microphone and 1 receiver. The replacement of FM microphone and receiver is not determined. They used to replace them every 3 years. It's now done on a case-by-case basis. So I've just put that there for people's information. No responsibility for its accuracy, I'm sorry, because I'm not connected with Hearing Australia. Now, I'm just going to go through some of the options that I've seen and come across in the schools I've been involved with. So when an FM, some people, oh, by the way, one of the questions I had was, should they be called FM? Because it's all digital technology. So even digital signals, your Wi-Fi, for example, is based on FM. It's just, so technically FM is the correct term. It's just digitally modulated FM rather than analog modulation. So why change the terminology? I've heard that some people want to change it, including here in Australia, want to change it to remote microphone technology. That just takes a lot more to write down, and to say FM just makes it so much simpler. And I'm going to keep calling it FM. So they will only supply it paired to 1 hearing aid or cochlear implant. There's the Cochlear ReSound. They've got the Mini Mic 2 Plus, Oticon hearing aid, the EduMic, Signia, the Streamline mic, the Roger touchscreen, and sometimes the Roger touchscreen with the Roger Multimedia Hub. Now, the following microphone, sometimes the Roger clip-on is supplied to toddlers, but the Roger and the Roger on and select to teenagers. However, none of these 3 will connect to the Roger sound field. And also the Signia Streamline mic cannot connect to any sound field. So I'm going to go through these in a little bit more detail. That's a picture of the famous Roger touchscreen. Now that pairs directly with the Phonak hearing aids with 1. So Australian Hearing provides the receiver in 1 hearing aid. The multimedia hub that's sometimes supplied with it, that the idea is that's connected to the computer. So the child hears what's coming out of the electronic whiteboard. That's got a pairing button on it, but if you're using it with the touch screen, you don't use the pairing button, you use the connect button. Use the connect button to pair them together. This is the Cochlear and ReSound, so Cochlear implant, Cochlear branded implant and ReSound hearing aid, the Mini Mic, the Oticon EduMic, and I'll talk about these 3 little holes later that they've got in them. The Siemens or Signia Streamline mic, that has not got the 3 holes. And then we've got the ones used by teenagers. You've got the Roger on. I've got one of them, even though believe it or not, I'm not a teenager now. But my daughter has one and I have one, and we both use it a lot. The table mic kit, I actually used that for Bible study group. I was leading a Bible study group through COVID. And that's what I use as the best solution in that circumstance. The Roger Select, one of those, and the Roger clip-on mic, which is particularly good. If you are a hearing impaired adult wanting to hear your toddler, you can clip that on the child so you can hear what they're saying as a hearing impaired adult. Roger receivers. So what we've got here, the neck loop, that's what I'm using at the moment to actually listen to this seminar when Jane was talking before. And that's a larger view of it. There's the Roger Focus. That's actually an FM receiver only. It's not a hearing aid, it's a receiver. Particularly good for children with auditory processing disorder. That's their main feature. And now with the neck loop, you can plug headphones directly into it as well. If you don't have the telecoil on your hearing aid to pick up the sound, or earbuds if you want to. Now for the Cochlear brand hearing aids, we've got for the N7, we've got the receiver. And for the N6s, N5, that receiver. For the Advanced Bionics, that's the receiver. For the Sonnet 1 and 2, Medel Sonnet, that's the receiver. Now this is the Roger X. This can connect into those 3 holes on the bottom of the Edu mic. On the bottom of the N5, it clicks on there. You can clip onto a shoe on a hearing aid, and that turns any of those devices into a Roger microphone receiver. So you can pick up the sound from the microphone. So that's the FM systems when they're used by themselves. If you've got any questions just about the FM side, now's the time to put them into chat. Now we're going to talk about the FM together with the sound field systems. So the sound field is not a replacement for the FM. You don't put a sound field in and stop using the FM. Remember the picture I showed you of all the sound bouncing around the room? You do get better clarity from the Roger sound field system called the Digimaster 5000. Because of the way it's designed, you get less reverberation off the ceiling and the floor and a much wider spread than from a normal PA system. It is therefore the best when it comes to sound field systems and giving the best quality sound out at speaker. There's also the front row sound field system. I've actually installed, supplied a lot of the to-goes and installed a lot of pros myself. They've got 2 brands that are true sound field speakers, and they've got 2 that are just PA systems. And then there's the Red Cat. If somebody thinks I've missed a system, there are others out there. I've seen them for sale, but I've never, ever seen any other brands installed in school, but they could be out there. So, yeah, some people think the to-go, it's the cheapest of everything here, and that's why it's purchased by some schools, simply because it's the cheapest. There's a lot of benefit to sound field. There's also been research by every brand that says their brand is the best. Now, I've got to say at this stage, I supply, sell and install the Phonak system. I do believe it is the best, having worked with the front row previously. because of that reduced radiation above and below the speaker, and also because the children don't have, with the Phonak hearing aids, don't have to wear an extra receiver. They don't have to connect in, because the current Phonak hearing aids, the Marvels, the Paradise and the Luminity, which is really hard to say, all have the receiver inside, but they need to be activated. So here in Australia, activate one receiver. But the child doesn't have to wear anything else to pick up the signal from the touchscreen microphone. With the front row or the red cat, you've actually got to connect it into their system, the child microphone, to get the signal. There have been cases where people actually have the Phonak Digimaster, and then they take the child touchscreen and plug it into the Digimaster, and that actually gives a negative result. The Digimaster comes with a touchscreen of its own for the teacher to use. You never plug the child's touchscreen into it. They just listen directly from the teacher's one, and that gives the best sound quality. So what are the benefits? Less strain on teacher's voice. Now, this second one, child is not singled out with use of FM. People want to talk about all better educational outcomes, but having grown up with hearing loss myself, to me, this second point is the most important one of all. Even as an adult, when I hand somebody my receiver and ask them to wear it, sorry, my microphone, and ask them to wear it so I can hear in a group setting, they stand up in the front and say, oh, by the way, I'm wearing this microphone for Andrew so he can hear. That upsets me. Why do I have to be singled out? I know I've got a disability. I hate having a disability. I hate being hearing impaired. But why do they have to make it worse by singling me out? And that's what happens when a child has an FM without a sound field. The teacher is wearing the microphone just for that child. And it gets even worse when there's more than one teacher and they start trying to swap it between them and dropping it. And even worse again, it's the assembly hall. So the teacher trying to do the right thing, takes the touchscreen mic they've got, take it to the assembly hall, and then the first teacher stands up there and uses it. But when they hand it to the next person to speak, they drop it. Then they fumble around, pick it up, and the second person to speak thinks, oh, I'm only going to say a few words, so they hold it in their hand. One will hold it down around their stomach, and no, I don't want to listen to their stomach growling. Another person will hold it right up to their mouth, and I can hear their breathing. And so I just have to turn my ears off, my hearing cochlear implants off. And all the while, this has been done just for me. Are you hearing the emotion that I'm explaining? Is it any wonder I will make sure the next time I go to assembly, my touchscreen will be flat, forgotten, destroyed, or in some other way unavailable, no matter what. I want to be me, not the kid with a hearing loss. So that's a really important point to me. That with the sound field, they use the microphone whether the child with hearing loss is in the room or not, because it does benefit all the children. The research study has proven that, and that's never been challenged because it's so clear that it helps everybody. So yes, it should definitely be FM and sound field, because there's another reason. Australian Hearing, you know, when I first went to Australian Hearing, they were called Commonwealth Acoustic Laboratories. Then they changed name to National Acoustic Laboratories. Then it was Australian Hearing Services. Then it was Australian Hearing. Now it's Hearing Australia. I should think up a good name for them. Why can't they just stick to one thing? Anyway, they only issue one FM. I've got 2 ears. Nobody ever told them that. By the way, I work on humour because it's either laugh or cry, and I'd rather laugh. I want to get the sound in the other ear as well, and it does make a difference. They've done studies to say it makes almost no difference if you have 2 or 1. But those studies do not include fatigue of listening for 6 hours straight, and it does make a difference. So with the sound field, I'm getting the sound in the other ear. It also, when the sound field is used, the classroom quietens down and therefore reducing the background noise. Now, I've already mentioned with the Phonak Digimaster, it does reduce reverberation as well. So I'm getting even better quality sound in my non-FM ear, where I've got 2 hearing aids, or unless I've got single-sided deafness, it is an improvement in sound quality. But also, if they've connected it to the electronic whiteboard, I'm also getting that sound through the FM as well. And when they use 2 microphones, and the second microphone is for either a second teacher or when other students are talking. Now, I remember, and yes, I can remember that far back to when I was in primary school, hearing the other kids was the hardest part of hearing at school. It wasn't hearing the teacher, because I really didn't care what the teacher said anyway. Somehow I got good marks, and I still haven't quite worked out how yet, but because I didn't wear my hearing aid till I was 13. But I missed out on social interaction as a result, and that took a lot to overcome. So you get the maximum benefit where 2 microphones are used. So one for the teacher, one for the other people in the classroom who are talking. So yes, but FM and sound field should be used together, definitely. So I've got a picture here of the Phonak system. That's the Digimaster on a stand. You can get it wall mounted or tripod, or even desk mounted. The sound field should always go at the front of the room. I've had some people put them at the back. The brain generally does not like the sound coming from a different place to where you see it coming from. So you want it at the front always. It can be the front corner, but somewhere at the front. Adjust the volume. You can adjust the volume for this system on the microphone. But as I said, it's got 12 speaker cones to reduce the reverberation and increase speech perception, which is how much I actually understand of what is being said. So you've got the mic. I'm going to run through each of these devices one by one. Now, Roger had just brought out a version 2. It came out about October with almost no notice that it was being upgraded. And it comes with Bluetooth. The only problem with the Bluetooth is it's to connect in, not out. So I can connect my mobile phone to the via Bluetooth to the system to play back, music or a podcast straight from my mobile or laptop or tablet, but only one connection at a time. It's also got an output. Now, the good thing is with the output, I can connect that into the Cochlear mini mic because the Cochlear mini mic has a socket in it. It's also got better quality sound for music. So this takes the place of the speakers in the classroom for the electronic whiteboard. So moving right on. So these are the Roger microphones, the touchscreen, the pass-around microphone. Never use it in its holder. That holder is totally useless unless you're very, 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 very short, because it has to be within 2 inches of your chin. And that's very important. Now you can have up to 31 devices, combinations of the multimedia hub, the touchscreen and the pass-around mic in one system. And you can see the charger there, and you've got the wall pilot, which changes the channel automatically. I'll come back to that. So the touchscreen for the Phonak system is the heart of the system. You can turn the speaker off and the rest of the system still works. You turn the touchscreen off and the whole system is muted, stops working. You pair it using the connect button to all the devices, and you pair it to the child's receiver using the button. And as I said before, you don't connect it to the output of the speaker. Turning off the touchscreen mic also turns off the sound field system. Now, if you've got a mini mic, so you've got a Cochlear branded cochlear implant or a ReSound hearing aid, and you've got the mini mic, you can get the Roger X and you plug this in the bottom into those 3 holes, and that picks up the sound from the Roger microphone, from the touchscreen. And that's the best way to use it. You can alternatively, this socket here, you can plug into the output of only the version 2 sound field speaker. Version 1, you couldn't do that. The Oticon hearing aids, Yedumic, again, you can plug that in. Again, it has the socket, which you can plug into the output of the version 2 Phonak system. The Signia cannot connect to any sound field system because there's no audio input and it doesn't have the 3 sockets. So if the teachers wear it, multimedia is not heard, and anybody using the other microphone of the Roger system is not heard. You can place it in front of the sound field speaker, I should have written there, in front of the sound field speaker, but it's not as clear as if it's worn by the teacher. So that's where this is my, I don't think too much of them, because it's good for just to hear one person, really good actually, to hear just one person, but that's all. You don't get all the benefits of the sound field system. I've already done that one. That got in there as a duplicate. Pass around microphone. It must be within, as I said, 2 inches of your chin, and it goes beneath the chin. They're not for eating. People seem to want to eat them because that's what they see on Australian Idol. The singers actually try to eat the microphones. These are not very tasty at all. They go beneath the chin so everybody can lip read. And that's really important. But it also makes the microphone last longer. And thirdly, you won't catch COVID from the microphone if it's beneath your chin. You know, if everybody uses it beneath the chin, you don't get the spit going in and then breathing in the spit, etc. Sounds awful, doesn't it? So keep it below the chin. I actually recommend when we supply one of these systems, that the next day they do a karaoke and have a bit of fun with it, and train the children how to use it correctly. Multimedia hub, connect your TV, computer, laptop, tablet, smartphone, electronic whiteboard, and then it goes straight to the child hearing aid, cochlear implant receiver, as well as to the speaker. And the speaker then takes the place of the electronic whiteboard speakers. The charging rack, all those microphones and multimedia hub go in there. And then if you've got a Roger neck loop, it goes in this adapter and can get charged. Now the wall pilot, a lot of people aren't even aware this exists, unfortunately. Where the school has more than one system, we recommend this goes at the doorway. As the child walks past, it automatically changes the channel on their Roger receiver to match the system in that classroom. Particularly good for high schools where they've got multiple systems. The Roger Multimedia Hub, it's got a pair button on it, but if you're using any other microphone, you don't use that pair button. Now, with all the Roger products, and if you think I'm near the end, I'm not. If you've got Roger products, you can upgrade them with the Roger Upgrader. I should have called it Upgrader, not Updater, but Roger Upgrader. The easiest way is to go to phonacpro.com and put in the search box Upgrader. You can download it, and I recommend you run this when you first receive a product from Phonak, and then just before it's out of warranty. There is one device I tried to upgrade, and the device was useless afterwards. But that was one out of a lot of devices, and it was quite old at the time. That's why I say do it before it's out of warranty. Moving on for everybody else, connecting whiteboards. So the electronic whiteboard, TV, monitors, whatever you want to call them in the classroom. They can be connected directly to the line in on the sound-filled speaker, but they should be connected to the multimedia hub. So the signal goes to the child's hearing device. If it just goes straight into the speaker, it doesn't go to the child's hearing device. And those other brands, not all of them actually have a line in on them, and not all of them have a line out to connect your children's microphone to if they're a different brand. So the best thing is to connect to the Roger system, connect to the multimedia hub from the electronic whiteboard. That feeds into the sound field, as well as goes directly to the child's receiver. Now, this area is one of my pet areas. As I said, I went through the state school system, 7 years at the same, kindergarten through to year 6. And I still don't know what the prayer was that was said every morning at that school for the 7 years I was there. Assembly halls have to be designed for the worst possible acoustic environment. Trying to understand speech in them is almost a disaster. And it's not just about the children. What about me as a parent as well? When I have to suffer my kids' stuff, I can't participate and enjoy it. I've just got to be there because I've got to be there because I'm the parent and I want to support my kids. I can't hear anything going on. The assembly hall needs the hearing loop. It's also for the parent, and let's face it, when one of my kids were at 1 and the other child wanted to be there to watch as well, both my kids needed the hearing loop. Now, the hearing loop works with the telecoil in the hearing aid. Now, all cochlear implant processors have the telecoil. The Bahas don't all have it, but the Cochlear Mini mic does have the telecoil in it. It's used with the Baha. Baha stands for bone anchored hearing aid, by the way. And it makes all the difference. So encourage your school to get it. Check with Hearing Australia that your child's hearing aid has a telecoil. It should, but it just needs to be activated. If they don't have a telecoil, talk to them about replacing the hearing aids with one that do. The audiologists tend not to mention telecoil, but if you go to a function at the town hall, Lower Town Hall and Town Hall in Sydney, they've got hearing loops in it. Some train platforms have hearing loops. All the platforms for the tram system in Canberra have hearing loops. Many churches have hearing loops. Many community centres have hearing loops. And it's the only way to follow what's going on in all those places I've just listed. Even jails have them. Mind you, when it came to doing the jails, I sent somebody else just in case they wouldn't let me out again. But yeah, anyway. Yes. Lots of meeting rooms as well. Another option, what we do for outdoor assembly areas is we put in a Roger base station, and that transmits directly to the Roger receiver. And then we put a wall pilot, so that changes when the person walks past it. It changes the channel, as I said before, on the hearing device to the channel being used in that area. So they're the two recommendations for the Kohlers and the assembly halls. We can put this in the assembly hall as well. Some people take their Roger touchscreen or get an extra touchscreen and connect it to the PA system in the assembly hall. The problem with that is when they turn the power off, it stops working. When they turn the power back on, it doesn't come back on. This unit, when the power comes back on, it comes back on. That's how a hearing loop, you get the venues PA, go into the hearing loop amplifier, and let the hearing loop actually installed in the floor, which I do, and then the hearing aid, just walk in, switch over to telecoil, pick up the signal. I've got 3 loops in my house as well, keeping in mind, yes, with teenagers, you definitely need a separate TV somewhere. So yeah. I've just put here a list of my coping mechanisms, because they're different for different people. My sister, one of my sisters, is totally the opposite to me. I want to hear everything, where she would rather hear less and be less stressed. So it's very personal, but these are my coping mechanisms. Move towards the speaker, ask yes no questions, because I know what to listen for, yes or no. Back to the wall. So if I go to a meeting, I will always sit against the wall so I can use my eyes to see everything that's going on. Obviously, you move away from background noise. So at Christmas time, as I said, we've got 20 people in the house, more than half of them with over 20 hearing devices. And we'd all look for a room with nobody in it. We call it the hole of silence. So we'd move there, but somebody else would come looking for a room with no or little noise in it, and then we'd have to move on to somewhere else. So we'd all be moving around the house. Yeah, if it's not a hot day on Christmas Day, we can move outside, which helps a lot. Auslan. Auslan to me is not all in or all out. We use some signs of Auslan to help enhance the conversation. Because I'm not fluent in Auslan. I might be fluent in 30 words, but I'm not fluent in the language. We use what helps us. My Christian faith. My greatest support has not been from other people with hearing loss. My greatest support, particularly when my first implant looked like it was going to be a total disaster with no light at the end of the tunnel. It was actually my Christian friends that really helped me out, who said, I don't understand what you're going through, but I'm here for you. Instead of all the people with cochlear implants that said, oh, she'll be right, mate. Yeah, really big issue. Humour. I hope you've worked that one out by now. Technology. I think that's obvious as well. And of course, my website where I put in, you can look up a lot of the technology we've been, not all of it, but most of what we've been talking about. Yeah, so feel free, if you've thought of any more questions, feel free to email them through. Put your phone number in there as well. So if I feel like it needs to be a discussion, I can call back. I ask people not to call me, even though my phone number's on the website. And everybody, make sure you fill out the survey. All acclamations gratefully received.
Just added the survey link onto the chat again. That would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much, Andrew. You're finished with your presentation? Yes,
thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. I think the fact that you explained the importance of using assistive technology due to background noise and reverberations just made it really relevant, and your personal experience is amazing. So thank you so much. You've gone through all the questions, but as Andrew said, you can email him directly if you have any other questions after the webinar. Yeah, a big thank you for presenting on such a hot topic. And I'm sure we've all learnt something that will help our kids get the most out of these assistive devices. We really appreciate your time and your expertise that you've shared with us tonight and answering all those questions. Thank you so much, Andrew.
My pleasure. Also, everybody email me if you want to be added to the newsletter as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. So just letting you know, our next webinar will be on the 4th of April at 8 p.m. Catherine Crowe and Pauline van der Straten-Weil will be discussing how children who are deaf and hard of hearing can be successful multilingual learners. So I think this will be quite a good topic for lots of families who use more than one language. Catherine and Pauline are both speech language pathologists and have an abundance of clinical experience with linguistics and children who have sensory disabilities. We're looking for more interesting topics to present during 2023. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to email us on info@aussiedeafkids.org.au, or better still, use that short online survey to give us your suggestions